So I name all my things sutras. Right? So these are success sutras. Okay. So specifically to be successful in your career. Okay. What is required? The first sutra is be constantly curious. Hmm? That is because this today things are changing so fast that if you learn something and stay there and you're not learning further, you just can't be successful. It's simple thing. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just, see, I'll tell you the problem I think most of us face. This is going to be little deep, but it the problem is probably when you're in school,
Mm.
you just told, oh, you studied till 10th,
Mm.
you studied till 12th, you study college, get job, that's it, done. And you just go into a job assuming that your learning is done.
Mm.
That's the assumption that all of us had
Yeah.
before we started working.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
What I feel, if we do not learn more,
Mm.
we are stagnant.
Yeah.
We feel bored of the job that we are actually love doing.
Uh,
We become bored of it.
uh,
So if you learn more about the job, more advanced things,
uh.
you'll feel even more
Yeah,
motivated.
that is also crucial point. Yeah. So being constantly curious, not only is necessary for success, it's also something which keeps you engaged with your job. You don't get bored and say same thing, same thing, same thing. You're moving ahead. So both are this thing. So when I first wrote this down and told Prahlad about it, I gave him a notebook and said every day write down 2 new things you learned today which you did not know yesterday. Okay, that's words are very specific. 2 new things you know today which you did not know yesterday. That is how you are constantly curious. And so you have to make it a routine. So that it is supposed to be a kind of daily journal. Okay. Today, I think a far better tool, which is what I am talking about, Obsidian. I'm kind of obsessed with Obsidian now. It is because it does this. It is available on the phone.
Phone, I have to figure out how to sync it.
Okay. It's available on the phone. It's available on your laptop, and it will automatically remind you, okay, today's journal is not done, and you can create a template in a journal. I have to write down 2 things and things like that. And you can give, like a website, you can give a link to, oh, this is very much relevant to what I learned 2 months back.
There's also, I mean, I think Obsidian is probably better for coding. There's also Notion.
Yeah, I know Notion. Notion and Obsidian are competitors, and today everybody is moving away from Notion to Obsidian. Okay, there are many reasons. If you see Obsidian versus Notion, you will find some gazillion articles why people are moving to Obsidian. The biggest reason is on the desktop. It is a desktop app. You don't have to be connected to the internet. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
You can
It's
do it.
completely-
It's a software.
Oh,
So you install it on your phone. You can do it anytime. You are like Algu was doing. Algu, my partner who was working was Algu.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
thing. He went trekking in Nepal for 10 days, and he got a lot of work done, thinking work. He says in the mountains, peacefully in the evening, he would think what is needed, and he would type. He had an iPad with him, and Obsidian works on an iPad, and he used to type it out on the iPad, right? So putting down ideas and things like that. We'll come to ideas, but constantly curious by setting up a routine. I will, no problem. You can, if you have learned 5 new things, write down 5 new things, but at least 2 new things you learn. And the the trouble with a physical journal is you cannot link it. Today you learn something new about photography, right? Tomorrow you learn something new about digital marketing, and 2 months later you again learn something regarding photography, and you want to say also read that article, that thing which I wrote on that date. Okay, you can't.
Oh, so we have to just put the date and then link it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's very, very easy.
Hmm.
Okay, so you create what is known as a hyperlinked set of ideas and things which you are learning. So it is a wonderful tool for constantly curious. The second thing is always reliable. Okay, so any boss, if you tell him there are two people, both have the same skills, the work that they do are same skills, they're reliable, but this person, if you tell him to do something, he will do it, he will do it correctly without making any mistakes. And if he will say I'll give it to you in 3 days, he'll struggle very hard to finish it in 3 days. If on the second day he realizes he's not going to finish it in 3 days, he'll come and tell you, sir, I am not going to be able to finish it in 3 days, it will take me 5 days. But he's committed, right? So always reliable has two aspects. One is correct work and committed work. Okay, so a person is successful because when he is doing something, he doesn't make a silly mistake. Okay, bosses hate silly mistake. Arey, yeah, you know you're not supposed to do this, you've done this. A silly mistake. So for silly mistakes, the correct procedure is called checklists. So, which is kind of a process sheet, whatever they call it, this thing. So, if I have to upload, if I have to submit some content, like what you are doing, content writing, right? So, if you want to do this thing, have I given a right title? Have I given it tags? Yeah. So they'll tell you have to do all this. So, it is very easy, for example, in Obsidian, to create checklists. And today, if you are submitting something, call up the checklist, put it and say tick, 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 I've done all this, right? So, you're reliable because you do the work without silly mistakes. Genuine errors, everybody understands. Silly mistakes, everybody hates,
Yes.
right? Then, commitment, yeah, that Obsidian is not going to help. It is just, you have to be saying that if I say 3 days, I'll do 3 days. Does it make sense? Is it something that you have faced in your work?
Yes.
Right?
With content, sometimes the topic
Uh,
will be a little difficult to, be a little creative.
hmm.
When I have to do some research, I have to see like multiple topics and articles about it and make my own
Right.
article because it has to be separate from that, has to be different from that, so that
There's no
It-
copyright. It looks different.
yeah, and it has to rank
Yeah.
proper
Yeah.
when you market it properly.
Hmm.
So sometimes when we would have this team meeting at this time or something, I would say, yeah, I'm sure I can give it today by evening or something, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'll take like at least 1.5 day, next day
Yeah.
goes up to next day. And the next day's work gets a little delayed.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, so keeping to your commitments is something that you have to work out how you're going to do, right? But if you're talking about research, Obsidian is also a good place to keep track of what you have researched.
It's not an Obsidian business.
We're also discussing Obsidian. Why? What is a tool to implement all these things? Not just teaching it, right?
I'm hearing Obsidian every day.
We could have made different sort of a video. This I would have put it up on YouTube and actually market Obsidian links.
Yeah, okay. So then next thing is actively imaginative. So I've forgotten what it was. Okay. So actively imaginative. So what happens, right? You can become a very reliable person. Now you become a very reliable person, but you can only be assigned donkey work. So the trouble with a person who is purely reliable is all donkey work gets assigned to him. So donkey work gets assigned to the person who is reliable. The person who is imaginative and reliable is the person who is given the most exciting work.
What do you mean by imaginative?
That is, if the work, supposing you have to write content and they've told these are the rules you have to follow, okay? And not only do you just follow the rules, you think, wouldn't it be better if we did this extra? Can I improve the process? Can I improve the content? Can I do something which shows a creative flair and in what I'm doing? You can, for example, I mean, if you're doing a design, right? You can make a design, okay, and reliable design, but there's no creative flair in that.
Okay.
So you're writing an article, but how can I inject humor into the article? How can I be imaginative? How can I inject humor into the article? How can I, if I'm doing a design, how can I inject something different into this which catches the eye and things like that, right? So not only are you reliable, right? Being reliable is not sufficient. You have to be actively imaginative. In the sense, it's like at every day or at every day for imaginative is something which is different, which is difficult. So I have written down as a new suggestion every fortnight. You should. So because let's say you think, hey, let me do something different. Let me try that. In every article that I write, I will inject some humor, right? So for the next 15 days, you will work on injecting humor into your articles every day. So one new idea for a fortnight, you try that. Then once you do it like that for a fortnight, you will find that automatically you will see opportunities for injecting humor in the future, right? So after one fortnight of injecting humor, you have to think of something new. You have to have in your fortnightly plan, you have to say, I need to find something that I try. It can fail. Especially when you're being imaginative and you're being creative, what is necessary is that you are trying something new every fortnight. You may be failing. That's all right.
But I think it's a very hard line to toe because sometimes people are like, why you want to do all that? Just finish it, we have to give it.
Yeah.
You have to gauge the situation.
Yes. So, I do agree. Being actively imaginative, I'm saying, right?
It's more like a personal goal rather than a professional.
No. The thing is, the person who is actively imaginative as well as reliable, right? The most exciting jobs, the toughest jobs, right? Where there is an opportunity for you to learn, an opportunity for you to shine, gets assigned to people who are imaginative as well as reliable. So, if you're reliable but not imaginative, you will get donkey work. And you will not shine when people are discussing what did you do last week, what did you do this month, or what did you do. When you have a review or an assessment, right? you will not shine. Hey, he did everything. This for hey boss, you know what it did? Suddenly all the articles became numerous. Everybody loved it, right? So being actively imaginative, you actually become a kind of top 1% of the people working in the company very easily if you achieve both these. Okay? And the last one is perhaps the most important one. It is called being outcome focused. Okay? What it means is when you accept a job, and Malti and Sneha, both of you, this I mean, especially for Malti, I think this is very relevant. That, like, when we had that discussion about that area chart, you remember, why are we showing this area chart? Means we were designing, okay, and one of the earliest designs, that was I think one of the earliest designs we did, we just put a
We had some discussions and we decided, okay, we're going to do this area chart here. Then we kept working on the area chart. We lost sight of why we're doing the area chart. And then we were like, oh, we have to put this and we have to show this. How do we show this? We have to calculate this. How do we calculate this? How to put this? How do we represent this? We got lost in that. Then and it was not making sense, and we were spending so much time on that, trying to figure it out. And then it just sat and said, why are we doing this? And then we sat and we thought about why we're doing this, and we said, it's not really necessary. We just scrapped it.
yeah. So that's what happens, right? You get
But
you
it's a part of it. You
Yeah.
yeah. But learning to be outcome focused is very, very, very important. Okay, it is like I say, if you make all four of this, you will be in the top 0.1% of employees in an organization. If you are doing all four of this continuously, you will be in the top 0.1%. Forget 1%, because outcome focus, right? What happens is lot of work gets done and it does not deliver what actually is useful. So, like, for example, why are we writing this article? What does that person want from this article? If all these thoughts are put in there in your thinking,
it might even change your perspective.
Mm.
When you
Yeah.
think about that. When you're going in one direction and then you rethink that and then you say, oh no, I have to frame it in this way so that it's meeting the outcome.
So you may completely change what you're doing. So, like what Malti said, we designed an area chart and we spent a lot of time. What is the color of the area chart? How will you, where will you put this line and all that? But it did not meet the outcome. So all that work was
I don't know, it's for no this thing, we just scrapped that.
yeah.
It's not like when we did that, I'm sure we would have come up with different ideas also.